Hello everyone, good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning. We don't know where you are, but we are in the evening, and I'm just highlighting that because we had the wrong time. This is the reason why we're doing the Data Plus Women event during that was planned a bit earlier, but we are going to be only us and no question from the audience, but that's okay because I'm really pleased. I will be asking a few questions to our speaker today, and I'm glad for that. So, Data Plus Women Zurich, and I'm very happy to have you, Sophie, with me today. So, Data Plus Women is a global community which is dedicated to increase the visibility of women in data and creating a space where people can learn, connect, and share ideas. Um, the agenda for today is after a short introduction, I will present our data muse for today, and she will present a project, and then we'll finish by a Q&A session from me only today. And before we begin, just a quick word about Data Plus Women. So we are a global initiative with chapters around the world. Our mission is to increase, as told earlier, the visibility of women working in data. And but this event is still open to everyone. Everyone is welcome. Um, Data Plus Women Zurich is run by a team of volunteers who are passionate about building an inclusive and supportive data community. If you're interested in getting involved, we're always happy to connect. And here the team is made uh, from Clarissa and me, and I'm really, really glad that Clarissa is joining me in leading this Data Plus Women Zurich. And as usual. So each our event feature a professional who inspire us through their work, okay, their perspective, their experience in the world in data. And today I'm really excited to introduce our data muse. Um, her name is Sophie Sparks. She is an independent information and data experience designer with over 12 years of experience making data more human, approachable, and engaging, and fun as well. Work range from creating databases for conference like Data Europe. And this is where I had the chance to meet you actually in 2024 at Data from Europe. And but I think that you were making a database as well for Data Plus Women event. Maybe you'll talk about that later, but I think I saw something like this. And more recently, she's been exploring how to transform complex topic like privacy policy, really complex things, into tangible and physical installation. I'm very excited to learn from her work today, and I hope you are too, especially around wearable data art. And I had a little talk earlier about the audience that was there talking that wearable that are hard for me. It began when we had the data visualization from the climate change, and everyone was trying to wear shirts, socks about them. So I'm really, really glad that we are going to talk more about that. So Sophie, the floor is you now. If you agree, I hope you do.
Great. I would
I
just
stop
take,
sharing.
I will start. Share screen. Okay. Make sure I share the right screen. Okay.
That's okay.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
So, hi everyone, and thank you for the later than anticipated start. This is completely my fault. I got the time zones wrong by an hour, which is really embarrassing. But thankfully, I put this in my calendar a few weeks ago when I was in Australia, so it could have been out by 9 hours. So, thank you so much for letting me come and talk to you about data badges. I will go back to my first page. So, and thank you, Natalie, for that really lovely introduction. Yeah, data badges are wearable data art. People are getting more and more into wearing their data. Natalie, you mentioned the warming stripes. I've seen warming stripe socks, which are really cool. Um, a few years ago, you had Giorgio Lupi create beautiful garments displaying data that you could buy in various different shops. I've seen neck buff things, you know what you wear, you're hiking to keep yourself warm, showing people's Strava running data. So this is in that same trend, and this is a way to uh, tell people a little bit about yourself in a situation, sort of more of a networking situation. And when I'm talking about badges, I mean not just like the pin badges, but maybe lapels you might, or lanyards you might wear at conferences, anything like that, that you could tell people about yourself in a sort of networking style situation. I love data badges. I love making them. I think they're really fun, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them. So, normal name tags tell you one thing, your name, and hopefully people can read it. Sometimes name badges are really tiny, printed really small, um, but that's it. And wouldn't be great if they told you more. So, I'm sure everyone has been in a situation, maybe at a conference or an event, or even embarrassingly at your work end of year all hands or something like that, and you want to know, you're talking to somebody and you see their name, but you'd like to know a little bit more about them because networking can be pretty awkward. And there's only so many times you can say, how are you going? Did you like that talk without feeling a little cringe? And data badges are a way to help people um, break the ice when they meet each other. If everybody knows the information encoded on a data badge, then when you go and meet somebody for the first time and start talking to them, you already have an in. You can look at the badge and see some information about them. For instance, is this the first time they've attended that event, or maybe what industry they're from, or if they are really looking forward to a particular talk, or anything like that. It's a shared understanding, a shared data experience. And not only does it help um, in networking situations, but it also creates an immediate sense of community because everybody is in on this special coded system, these data badges. So everybody who's at that event will all have a data badge or will understand the code, and it also adds this additional sense of a shared experience and camaraderie. And lastly, data badges can be really beautiful things that people want to keep. Maybe they made them themselves, maybe they've been specifically made for you, but it is a personalized object that's a little bit different from a generic tote bag or lanyard that people might get. Um, so, what if your badge told a story? And I think this is a badge from the event, the Tableau European Conference in 2024 that I think Natalie mentioned before. And at this event, I was part of the surprise and delight experience that Tableau put on for all attendees during the reception evening. And in this event, and I should have put some more pictures of it, but I created miniature data portraits for people. It took about 60 to 90 seconds from nothing to a full badge. So they were made very quickly. But everybody who wanted one picked up one of these postcards. You see the one side of the postcard here. On the back side of the postcard, there was a simple tick box list of questions asking people if it was the first time they'd been at the Tableau event, what they mainly did with data. This is sort of what area or what industry are you in, and what were they most looking forward to hearing at the Tableau data conference? Was it the talks or was it the networking? And then the people came up, handed me their card, and I created a very quick data portrait of them and coded in that information. So the colors of their cheeks, the pattern of the top they're wearing, and the color of the top they're wearing, and then manually pressed it into a badge and flipped the card over that they put their data on using the tick boxes to present back to them, which also doubled as the key for people for people how to read their badges. It was a really fun experience for me to do, but also I think it was quite memorable for the attendees because they were getting a personalized handmade item that encoded data about themselves. So they told me that data just before they got their badge by ticking the tick box on the back of the cards telling me their information, and I created it into a badge for them. So they were really fun to make and personalized, not just ways for attendees to learn a little bit more about each other, but also a really lovely personalized takeaway for them to have. And because people had to wait for them to be made for them, it was also turned into a serendipitous meeting place because people were waiting in the line for me to make their badges and they started talking. So it was like double networking, which was really fun. And it's not just me who makes data badges. You've probably seen lots of them around. So here are some made by other people, including Stephanie Posovic in the upper um, top left-hand and bottom right-hand quadrant. These are some data badges she's made for various different institutions and events. Georgia Lupi in the middle and the lower middle. Um, Natalia Kenselva, who is currently doing the Data to Kids events on the middle right. We've got um, Data Vandals in the top corner and the middle left, Victor Morons. That's actually one made in Tableau software. So these don't have to be physical items. They can also be digital. And they don't have to necessarily be badges that you can, traditional pin badges. They can be stickers, uh, digital, and you can see there are also things that, like in the Data Vandals ones, people are making themselves. So that is an activity that attendees and people can do. So there's a wide range of badges, and they're really fun and highly personalized. Um, can be highly personalized, which is part of their charm. So why do they work? Well, they are conversation starters without the awkwardness. So that's the whole icebreaker situation. They are physical and tactile most of the time when everything else is digital. You can also have digital data badges, which are also very fun. But a lot of the time they are physical, and you can even have attendees make them themselves, and people want to keep them. There aren't that many other data things that people create that you can walk away with. Either data is digital or it might be a large installation, but these are small and tactile and people want to keep them. So that's why the data badges work. And different badge designs create completely different types of connections. So I've hinted at that before, but from my experience, there's a spectrum of around three different spectrum that sort of runs a gauntlet from there are three main types of data badges that I found, and they sort of lie in a spectrum, and I'll go through them. The first one are intricate badges. So the example of the data badges I made at the Tableau Data Farm Europe 2024 event was an example of this. They're detailed and personal, but you can't read them easily at a distance across a conference room when, in mood lighting when it's dim lights. But they give everyone a shared experience, and both sort of all attendees have this lovely thing that was made just for them that they can take away, so that they are a shared experience and a memento. Second type are simple readable badges. I made some of these at Tableau Data Farm 2025, so last year. And one of the main things I've seen about these is they have a space for people to input one large word of text or one large block of color or something that is immediately readable across a room that other people will understand. In this example, was a really simple badge I created last year. The color, you could choose the color of your badge, and the color matched to the type of industry you were in. So people could see across a room immediately, if you were working for media and entertainment or nonprofits and government, for instance. And then you had a prompt which said, ask me about, and people could put in one word. In this example, the gentleman was from Croatia, so he's put in the word Croatia. You could also put in data literacy or my dog or something like that. So you're giving people an immediate way, thing to ask you about, a way to connect with you. Another really good example of this tactic was by Goof at Graphic Hunters Celaviz conference in 2024. He had a very simple badge which just had the person's name, and then again this prompt. That prompt was to me, data is, and then one word to fill it in. So people might put exciting, love, fun, messy was my one. And then you immediately had a prompt to ask the other person, why is data messy to you? And it was a really good way to get to know people, and also gave everyone at least one question they could ask somebody if they were standing next to them waiting to get their coffee. So this is sort of the second type of badge, which is really simple, readable badges, and these focus on genuine cold conversation starters that can be read in a glance at a distance. And the third main type are the make it yourselves or DIY badges. The example here is one I did a few years ago for a Christmas event, and okay, I'm a real sucker for badge making machines. I love pressing badges. It's so much fun. But this one, I created lots of different designs, all sort of these swirly designs with Christmas lights, and you were prompted to color in the number of lights to show how festive you're feeling. So there were 10 blank light bulbs on every badge, and so basically as a scale, if you're feeling 80% festive, you'd color in 8 light bulbs. Um, and people really loved it. So they would color in their badges, and it was a smaller press, so it was safe for attendees to operate by themselves on a sort of dedicated bench. But here, the actual process of making is the connection. So for these Christmas badges, it was really fun, and it was a nice change of pace to everything that the attendees had been doing beforehand. So it was at a sort of a gallery style viewing. So they'd been walking around viewing things and not touching. And so this was a great chance to make. But I've seen, just like in the Data Vandals image I showed you a few slides ago, it's a real change of pace. So you can include this in a conference or a workshop or something, and it's a great sort of breakout activity, or maybe it's a whole activity. But it's a real change of pace from sitting down and listening to talks. So this type of data badge is a real gear shift, usually for people, especially at events where they maybe have been sitting or standing for a long time and not doing anything with their hands except getting themselves distracted scrolling on their phones. It helps people de-stress. And then if you're creating these together with other people at the same time, you start asking the people around you, oh, for example, with these festive badges, you're only feeling 50% festive. Oh, you might be asked them why. You might volunteer information to people. Say, I just had my first mince pie, and if you aren't from sort of the Anglo part of the world where mince pies mean Christmas time, they are little pastries filled with fruit mints that you really only eat at Christmas time. And I love them, but most people don't really love them. But you get them only at Christmas time, so it's a real Christmas thing. Um, and it's that co-creation with other people in a space, all doing the same activity, and asking each other about the badges you see, other people making beside you. That's the sort of the connection there. So that's the third type of badge. So yeah, you've got the intricate badges that can be live made, and that really focuses on a shared experience. You've got the simple and readable badges that are direct conversation starters, and then you've got the make it yourself badges that is a shared activity. And when something's handmade, and you can see a person that made them, see that a person has made them, that changes how you relate to the object and to the person wearing it. Um, especially in a very digital world, when we hear at the moment anyway, we're just hearing a lot about AI and technology. Having tactile handmade things is a point of differentiation and a point of interest. People really appreciate the imperfection of something that's handmade and the care that must have gone into it. So having handmade objects around, or if you're wearing them, really is a conversation starter and really helps people, yeah, warm up to each other because we're all doing something human together. And also people keep badges. So this is a badge from that I made Ivan um, at the Tableau conference in 2024. And over a year later, I bumped into him at a separate conference, and he said, "I still have your badge. It's on my corkboard in my office." Um, and I don't know many people who keep uh, conference lanyards for that long, let alone pin them up on their corkboards in their office. But it was really a great memento for him. So I think that's another reason why data badges are so special is because people like to keep them. And in age where you go to conferences, you get the notebook, you get the water bottle, you get the tote bag, stuff you don't need. This is something that's personalized and small, and yeah, it's memorable, and people want to keep them. So a few things I've learned about making heaps of data badges. I've Yeah, I love making data badges. So some things are, firstly, keep it simple. No matter what type of badge you make, if you try and ram lots and lots of data onto there, it makes it very difficult for people to read. Even the very intricate badges where the point of them isn't to be easily read from across the room, it might even make it too difficult for the person who's looking at it and it's their information to be able to read it easily. So 2 to 3 data fields maximum, maybe 4 sometimes. Um, any more than that, usually the badge gets very crowded and very difficult to read. Adding, and for each of those data fields, each anyone that has more than usually about 4 um, options. So uh, it's, again, you're getting this too complicated. So having 2 or 3 fields where each of them only has a few um, different values is really helpful. So that might mean you have to create ranges for your data, over or under this, or yes or no, or one of these 4 different options. Free text fields, they're really easy to put in there. So ask me about, or data means, what does data mean to you in one word? It's a great way to to instantly personalize a badge that might otherwise be very simple. And that one word is data itself. Um, it's people making a mark and putting a bit of information about themselves on a badge, a data point about themselves on a badge, even though we might just view it as free text. Always include a key if you have any data encoding so people can read each other's badges. A great way to include that key is to have it some way when you present the badge to people, so they get a badge and the key's on a card that comes with it, for instance. And decide if you want legibility or intricacy in your design. And then if you sort of make that decision at the start, and then the that sort of, what type of connection do you want to make? Do you want to make a very legible badge where the connection is made as for an icebreaker, or do you want a more intricate badge where the connection might be a shared experience or a badge that people make themselves? So decide what you want to do at the start and design from there. And data badges work because they remind us there's a person in the data. You're literally wearing it. It's about you. You are that person. So a human collected it. A human is wearing it. It is about that human. And I think that's also why people love them. It's data, human data. They are the human. It's about them, and they are wearing it. That means other people are asking them about themselves, which people also like. And thank you so much. So I know we don't have an audience, just Natalie. So if you have any questions, Natalie, I'd love to answer them.
I do, I do. Thank you very much, Sophie, for this presentation. Even only in front of me for the moment, but everything is fine. So, yes, I have plenty of questions, and yeah, everything that you say like resonate to me because I really experienced those kind of badges, and you were talking about the badge that we were waiting that you were making them, and in the queue everyone was starting talking, sharing what did you put on your card, and so on. So it was really a moment of engaging conversation. So that was really really great, and like you were saying, this is a memorable moment. I can say okay, I have memorized some of the conferences, some of the instant, but this moment was specific and really memorable one, and I really liked it so far. So, like you were saying, this is a shared experience that you're putting together, and I have a question, but I'll keep this one for later about this shared experience. I'll come back to it later, but first, I wanted to ask you if you could tell us what first bring or your interest in live and drawing at conference, because here we're talking about badge, but I know that you've been as well and drawing during conferences as well. So how you come to that, what was the path to this kind of data art or wearable data art, or even not wearable, but that can be only digital or anything like this, but live event. I think this is what is unique to me in your work is really that your practice is in your what is unique in your practice is the way that you bring the data to life um, through this live and drawing that can be like you were saying you doing it or in people doing it, but while creating those visual in real time during an event and based on data. How did you come to that?
Um, it's just something I do, uh, which is a terrible answer. So give me a second. I'll break that down a bit better.
I'm sorry.
No, no. Um, I've I've always been the kind of person who lots of people like you might doodle in the margins of your notebook while you're working, and people do swirls or whatever. I've counted stuff ever since I've been tiny. I can remember counting things I see. How many red cars between
Oh,
here and the bus stop? How many this? It's my way of doodling. So when I would be in a meeting or something like that and doodle, I would, just keep a tally and say, how many times do they say, a word that was relevant to the whatever we're talking about? Um, you know, I and I, keep a tally, and that evolved from just being a little, uh, tally marks to being more involved shapes. Um, I'd sometimes go like, how many big breaths am I going to take between? This is terrible. This is like when those meetings when it's really boring. I'd be like, I can't fall asleep. I'm like, okay, I'm going to draw my breath. Big breath in, breath out. I'm like, I think it's going to. And in my mind, I was like, I think it's going to take five. I'm going to do 5 breaths, five, draw them, and then we'll start again because I don't want to fall asleep. Um, so I had yeah, that sounds really terrible. So this is something I've always done as sort of just how I like
okay.
to doodle. And then just like how people might take really beautiful sketch notes of something that they are watching or listening to,
Hmm.
I began to morph that habit of mine into data, and I do a doodle sketch of the person talking, and I would decide, okay, I'm going to count how many slides they go through, or how many times they say the word data, and that's going to be the stripes in their t-shirt or strands of their hair, or I'm going to draw little stars around them and make a constellation based on how many times they say anything that sounds like the word data or information or whatever it is. And I yeah, and I realized that I really enjoy doing things live, which usually terrifies most people. Um, I like doing them live because they have a definitive start and end point. Something starts at this time and it ends at this time. Um, Kind of like an exam. Exams, I don't like exams. Nobody likes exams, but they do start and end at the same point in time. There's no last minute panic. It's like it starts, it's your live. You just got to smile and go, and then it ends. And when it's finished, it's maybe it's like mindful. You're in the moment, and when it finishes, and that's it. I I find that sort of box of time where stuff needs to happen. It might be manic and terrifying during that box of time, but it has a decided start and end to it. So after that, I can like breathe and take it easy. Um, so yeah, that sort of practice of me doodling, and then how I've always found exams terrifying but time boxed, and I find that I work with that sort of structure quite well. Just merged together. So yeah, I
Wow.
really like doing things live, and that includes doodling, or putting on events, and doing things. And then because I love data, that sort of just has pulled and come into all of that situation as well. So drawing and doodling with data becomes my sort of data portraits and illustrations,
Yeah.
or badges, or data events. And again, because I love tactile things, nearly all involve sticker charts of some description. So yeah, that's how it came together.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for this answer because, in fact, you have answered so many questions that I was having. Because,
Okay,
well,
that's good to
because the
know.
next question, because, well, I was saying that was unique, like doing this real data in real time. But as well, my following question, but well, but because I was thinking that it must be challenging to do only live, working live, and especially in conferences. And I was thinking that what was the biggest challenge that you can face where you're doing when you're working live data art creation, and it seems like from your answer that the fact that everything is time boxed is kind of reassuring you and it's not
Yeah.
challenging at all. So you're answering my
That
question. I
you
say
you've
I don't see any challenge here. Maybe
massive
you have some.
challenges. The challenge is it's a different kind of challenge.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the the challenges usually are I have and it's kind of it's one of those exercises in letting things go a little bit and just being comfortable with a quite large degree of uncertainty. Um, so I remember a few talks I've planned to draw, and there was one. It was a virtual event, and in my mind, a virtual event. I was like, this is going to be a Zoom. I'm going to see a small square of the speaker, and then I'm going to see their slides. And I was going to. My plan was to count how many slides they went through, and then to highlight if the slides were mainly text or mainly images. I was like that
Hmm.
because I knew the
Hmm.
talk was that from the talk title and description, it sounded like it was going to be a very visual um, type of talk, and I was like, that could be interesting to see that sort of rough breakdown.
Mhm.
And then it was instead of just being Zoom with a little person in a little box in the corner, the person was presenting live in a room, and they had a camera, and the camera just went and focused on the person for most of the time and only flicked across to their slides, kind of like a TED talk when they were showing something interesting. And so I was like, this is not working. So I was like, what am I going to do? And mind racing. And so then I decided to I sort of mapped the speaker into a quadrant, and I was like, where are their hands in the quadrant? Because
Oh, where is he looking?
yeah, they were talking a lot with their hands. And I was like, upper right, upper left, upper lower, lower, upper, and but it
Incredible.
was it was terrifying. So yeah, that's doing things live. I've had to sort of get used to having a loose plan of maybe three or four kinds of things I could do, and then for the first few minutes, madly trying to do a little bit of all of them, because for a few minutes I've got enough like working memory to keep count of three
Yeah.
different things,
Yeah.
and then by the first 3 minutes, I've sort of figured out which one of them will actually work for that talk,
Okay.
and then sort of and follow on from there. The other good thing about doing things live is it's because it's live. I don't think anyone expects it to be perfect, which I find also really reassuring. So if I do miscount one slide or something like that, nobody's going to really mind. We're not, it's not like 2 decimal points of precision.
You're the only one
Um,
counting.
I don't think anyone else ever counts. Um, but I live drew for an event last year. It was a panel, a two-speaker panel, and I decided to track the percent of time each speaker spoke for, as well as how many times they said a few different words. So uh, I should have anyway. I to do that, I just track the time they started and stopped. I have usually most of the time when I'm sketching, I have my iPad, and then I have my phone with a big timer balanced on my other knee, because a lot of the things I do might involve. I need to know Usually need to know roughly what time when they occur during the talk. 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, 19 minutes, 20 seconds, something like that. Um, and so for that talk, was a little bit more precise. I was like, this speaker spoke for about 60% of the time, and this speaker spoke for about 40% of the time. But if technically it was like, you know, 58 and 42, I don't think anybody was, they just, wanted to see the rough breakdown. So yeah, so in that way, I find doing things live reassuring, because nobody expects perfection. They,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
a time box, and then the lack of perfection. I think that's why doing things
uh,
live I enjoy. But yeah, there's some level of level of uncertainty you have to be comfortable with.
so what I'm seeing is, in fact, you're doing as a job something that you have been enjoying from the beginning, because you were telling when you were a kid, you was always counting of the business stop and everything, and you keep doing that, and now you do that as a work. So this is really really great to hear that you are the same person, but just bringing your counting and your art of counting and drawing and for people. So thank you for that. But
I know.
it brings me to the next question. Um, um, the fact that you were counting and so on as a kids, and you keep doing that now, it's like, and what do you offer, like people, the badges, the connection that you offer people, and even the your recent project about the policies
Mm,
that people can experience is some at the conference as well. People are coming alone, okay, and sometimes they need things to spark conversation to network, because usually you air for sometimes you air as well for networking, and so you spark this conversation even for peers. You normally do that alone. You confronting that, and it's look like what you everything that you want. Everyone want the same, or everyone has to experience the same. Let's share that together. And this is what you're saying, sharing an
mm,
experience. So we're sharing something that we are normally doing alone and feeling uncomfortable with, reading policies, or trying to network when you're kind of shy, you don't want to interact too much with people, you're not feeling very comfortable. If an object do that for you, I mean, this is great. And if you encounter the policies with other people as well, so it's like you're providing, and you mentioned it, share experience, and and um, and and you bring people together by this kind of action, and it's completely different from what you experience. I was thinking, when you're counting things, you're on your own, you with you. You cannot be someone talking to you and so on. So you make people talk together with you focusing on something specific, counting and on your own. Yeah. I don't
yeah.
know if it's very clear what I'm saying, but I think it's like you want to bring, yeah, your work, what you do as an artist is like to make people talk together and share something that they normally experience more alone.
Yeah, that's probably right. It's like all the metadata around you. That's the sort of stuff I count, and that's hopefully what I try and help people share. Um, yeah,
Hmm?
those, yeah, the if a lot of the time, if if you were your LinkedIn profile, like walking around, I'm trying to
Mm.
help people like scroll past the photo and go, oh,
Yeah.
these like these four things down here. That's that's
Yeah.
interesting about you.
Mm, mm,
So yeah, I think that's
mm,
a good way of putting it. Yeah, helping
mhm,
people
mhm.
share
And
things about each
yeah,
other.
yeah. And I love the simple badges where I say just ask me about something because you're sure that you never get wrong about asking something about this subject to this person.
No, that's true. It's people though people do find that very uncomfortable. They don't know what to
Ah,
write. I had a
ah,
lot of
really?
people asking like, "Is it okay if I was like, you can write anything." And of course, if
Yes.
you say that, if you like have ultimate choice. So I initially had hoped, you just ask me about, and people might say, yeah, my dog, or the latest favorite movie or book or something they've read or seen. But a lot of people went, I don't know, and they're like data literacy. I'm like, that's cool. This is a data conference. People should ask you about data literacy, but you could also say like, ask me, which is why I'm really glad a few people wrote like maybe the place they were from or their favorite movie or something like that.
Mhm,
So
mhm, mhm, mhm.
um, but people aren't used to putting themselves out there and trying to create the environment where people are happy and willing to share um, or participate is quite tricky, and it's still something I'm definitely working on, and I've got a lot to learn about how to create environments where people are very happy to share and participate, because sometimes I get it right, and sometimes it's a bit hit and miss sometimes, and people are like, oh,
Mhm,
I don't quite know what to write. I'm like, okay, that's a good
mm.
learning for next time. I need to give a better prompt to help people feel
Having
comfortable.
already prepared.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
give something you've prepared, or there's, letting people know there's no wrong answer.
So great. Another question. What is the next direction you would like to explore in this data and physical experience that you're
Yeah,
providing?
I that's a really good question. Um, I would like to create more larger experiences. I really I love going through museums and exhibitions and studying how they create their the experience. So when you go through somewhere, what do you feel? How do you interact? How do you move through the space? So I'd like to create some smaller scale, but begin to create some experiences using data which are more than more than a badge or something quite small, but create
Okay.
that feeling and experience in a bigger space.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
I've got a that's a
Wow.
work in progress. We will see.
So it's already in progress. This is what you mean when you say work
um
in progress. This is something
work
that I think I saw something going on
yeah,
soon. I don't
I've
know
got
if
it.
can talk about it or
Yeah, I've got a project,
a big
very
project, no?
big project,
Like
very
a like
early.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very early days. So I've got one big project, a personal project. This one I can definitely talk about. Personal project I'm working on, um, which involves my late father's music collection. He
Okay.
had collected thousands and thousands of CDs and LPs and cassettes and listened to them all. And he kept a meticulous record of everything he bought and listened to. So I'd like to create a sonification and experience around that. Sort of I'm in early stages and sort of hoping to get the first bits of that done later on in the year. Um, and then I've also working on some projects with library, looking at their zine, zine, those little, not quite magazines, not quite books, zine collection, and helping people understand and experience that collection as well. So, but they're all sort of nothing's going very quickly. So, longer term projects.
Oh, great, great. Thank you for sharing with us what the next direction you're going to. So, um, Uh, I won't ask the audience if they have any other questions.
Sorry.
Is there something else that you want to share, or
Um,
you say maybe I forgot to talk about that?
I think people should just try making data batches themselves. Like if you
Really?
have an
Okay.
event, just try it. You just need a pen and paper and like a post-it note, or one of those pieces. You don't need anything fancy. Just a paper with a pin on the back.
Uh-huh.
You get the label cards. Um, it's a really fun activity for people to do. It can be light-hearted. You can just like draw emoji faces or something like that, but give it a try. And I think you'll people really, really enjoy doing it, and it's a great way to um, icebreakers, or your next company meeting, just to give
Mm,
people
mm,
something a little different to do. And
mm.
like, I'm not sure about you, I've definitely worked with lots of people whose names I've been told 4 or 5 times, but I only ever see them at the Christmas party sort of thing. And by the time next Christmas party rolls around, I'm like, I don't think I remember your name. So it also will stop that awkward like type thing. But yeah, just I think people should try giving yeah, these sort of slightly, they're not too different, but a little bit different ideas ago at an event, and yeah, see how people react.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing all of that with us, Sophie. And well, I'll think about it about those badge. I think, yeah, like you were saying, if it can avoid looking awkward at some point, it was it. uh, so thank you very much. If you are interested in speaking at a future event, or don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We'd love to hear really from you if you have anything that you want to share to share with us. We are going to be changing a bit the subject. We are going to go in the AI mode. I mean, I'm going to be in the AI mode next for next series, and so we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you, Sophie.